Good afternoon. I'm Moria, your BEYA Stars and Stripes STEM Career Day Student Ambassador. Today's Career Day is sponsored by Lockheed Martin, the leading aerospace and defense company. We would like to thank Lockheed Martin for continuing to support our program. Today's guest is Dr. Zakia Greene. She will tell us about her journey to her career in pharmacology and how STEM played a part in her success. But before we learn about her fascinating journey, let me bring up my fellow student ambassadors, Hope and Dominic, to share their thoughts on today's opening topic, Spring Forward, Planning for the Future. Hello, everyone.
Hey
Hey
guys!
everybody.
Hello, I'm Hope Pagan, a college student and veterinary ambassador, and today we're discussing planning for your future. We'd like to invite our viewers to participate as well. How did you learn how to plan ahead? Do you have a system to help you stay on track? Please share your thoughts in the chat. I'll begin with our first question of the day to my fellow ambassadors, Moria and Dominic. Right now, we're all young adults, and we're learning how to organize and manage our own lives. How confident are you guys in your ability to plan ahead?
I guess I'll take it first. For me, I feel like I'm pretty confident in my ability to plan ahead, and that confidence really stems from the experience that I've been able to go through, and that's specifically like in tech. I've been able to get into the industry at a young age and going through the things that I went through as well as internships. It's taught me how to plan ahead, but it's also taught me how important it is to like be intentional with my time, especially in a sector like tech where things are like constantly changing. And then I also have different systems put in place that help me like stay organized and hold me accountable when I need to achieve these goals or these things weekly or monthly or even yearly, and they allow me not to just think ahead but to like put that planning into action. So I feel I'm pretty confident what I can do.
I'd be confident too, Dominic, if I were you. And organizing. That's a good background. Moria, what about you?
I would say, um, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress, but I feel like I'm definitely getting better. It depends on like my schedule. Like I feel like when I have more of a free schedule, I'm more like lazy. But like if I have more classes on my workload, I have to do this by a certain time, this by a certain time, this by a certain time. It helps me stay more organized when I'm busy per se. And so I don't know, like I have my own little routine I make up and then I try to stick to it.
Okay. I'm
Mhm.
actually like the opposite when it comes to my friends. All my friends are organizers and planners. And I think that it's
Mhm.
good to be confident at organizing, but I think that the only downfall of that is when your confidence comes from being organized. Because not there's going to be times where life throws like, plot twist at you, or there's times where something is coming that you didn't see coming. And if you're so confident in organizing, then you won't be confident in facing what's right in front of you. So, I think that as long as you're not locked into a specific plan, I think that you can be organized. But when your confidence comes from being organized, I think I like to have my confidence just come from what I know I can do, my ability in handling whatever I need to handle. I don't care about the order, to be honest. Whatever needs done, I'm just gonna get it done. And I'm not really much of a planner, to be honest. Like I really just I have my due dates, and it's gonna get done for my due date.
That's
Sometimes I make it done on the due date, but it's gonna get done
Right, right,
regardless.
nice.
right.
So, do you guys think it's important to be able to plan in advance, or can it be too restrictive and limit your ability to pivot and adapt?
I'm with you, honestly. It's like it's good to have structure, but it's also good to have a plan B or to have just to go with the flow because life is very unpredictable.
Right. I agree.
Um,
Dominic?
Yeah, for me, I think planning in advance is always important, but I feel like it becomes restrictive or hard to adapt when you're trying to like plan out every single detail. I feel like when you try to plan out every single detail, that's when things can get like overwhelming fast and it can leave you like flustered or frustrated to the point where like you don't even want to do the things that you set out to do. And I've come to realize that we have to accept that like nothing in life is gonna go exactly how we imagined it, personally, I plan kind of just enough in the important details and the things that like I can actually control, and then the rest I kind of leave up to the man above. And I understand that everything will work out. So I feel like planning does matter, but it's about knowing like what works for you. If you're somebody that needs too much or too little, or too much can hold you back, or having too little can leave you unprepared. Only you kind of know what that balance is.
Right. I definitely agree, especially when you said the man up above, like he has it all in control, so you don't really need control. To end it out, does anyone have a funny story of when they planned something and just went totally backwards? Anyone have like a funny story they want to share with us before we close it out?
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
go ahead, Maria.
so, okay. So, like, sometimes I take, well, not sometimes, but I have morning classes, like a 9:30 class, and sometimes I wake up a little late for school. So I'm like rushing and rushing and rushing, trying to get out. And then, like, I have it all structured. I'm like 10 minutes to brush my teeth, 10 minutes, well, 10 minutes to brush my teeth, wash my face, 10 minutes to pack my lunch, 10 minutes to get dressed. Well, no, 15 minutes to get dressed. No, 20 minutes to get dressed. Then I go out, and then my dad, he can't find his keys, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Uh, I'm like, oh my gosh. So sometimes I have to get an Uber, but like I was like, it's so frustrating because I prefer riding with my parents. I don't like riding in Ubers. So I'm like,
Yeah.
but I have to adjust. And so
Right, right.
sometimes when I'm late, I'm just like, okay, like just accept the fate. Like you're gonna get there late. So just take the L sometimes. But
Yeah.
it's just whatever.
That is the exact reason I started doing online classes, because I just know my capabilities sometimes of getting
Yes.
up so early. But that was an amazing discussion, guys. You guys all had some good points and key contributors to the conversation, contributions. I'm sorry, to the conversation. Moria, do you want to close us out and take us away?
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for your insights and openness to having these kinds of important discussions. Thanks to some advanced planning and a little spontaneity, this turned out to be a great conversation. Viewers, I hope we've given you something to think about, and we thank you for your participation. Now, here's hope with today's special guest, Dr. Zakia Williams Greene.
Good afternoon. I'm Hope Pagan, a veteran student ambassador. With me today is Dr. Zakia Greene, Dr. Zakia Williams Greene. Thank you for being on Career Day today. Hello.
Hello, how are you, Hope?
Good. How are you?
I'm not bad, and thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for joining with us. Dr. Williams Greene, can you please tell us more about your story?
I can. So, thank you all for your time and allowing me to fulfill a personal purpose, and that is speaking to and inspiring young minds. I have some slides that I've put together today that I'd like to present to you all, and we'll hop right into it for the sake of time and sticking to the script. So here's my journey. Here's my both my high school journey all the way up until the at the top. You, as you can see, a senior scientist. I am from Newport News, Virginia. I went to Denby High School, and when I was matriculating through high school, I actually did not have college in my sights, and I'll get into that later on. I was pursuing a certified nursing assistant degree. I was a part of a school where you can take that track and become a CNA, and I was not becoming going to college, but instead I actually ended up going to college. It's a very interesting story, and it changed the trajectory of my life. I went into Lincoln University. They had a program established there. The acronym is LASER, Lincoln Advanced Scientist and Engineering Reinforcement Program. It's one of the most prestigious laser science programs in the nation at that time. It was under the direction of Dr. Willie Williams. He was one of the only scientists in the country to obtain funds from NASA to particularly um, enroll students to pursue their undergraduate in science and postgraduate work in science. So I pursued a BA in chemistry there at Lincoln, also a minor in Spanish. So I also speak Spanish. And at the end of that year, at the end of my 4 years, I was ready to get a job because laser was so incredible. Every year we did an internship. So I had established a lot of great connections. But my advisor was like, no, you were actually going to graduate school. So I enrolled at Florida A&M University. There I worked under Dr. Donald Palm and Dr. Solomon. I I completed my dissertation work working on Parkinson's disease while I was matriculating through FAMU, obtaining my PhD in pharmaceutical sciences. I started a family. That's why you see the little family icon. Right after that, and that was in 2006. Excuse me, let me back up. I graduated from Denby High School in 1995. So I went from Denby to Lincoln University from 95 to 99. I enrolled in FAM at 99. I obtained my doctorate in 2006. And after that, I thought I was going to get a job again. And my advisor was like, no, you're going to get a postdoctoral fellow. And I'm glad he did. Each step of the way, I'm glad everyone who encouraged me to take additional avenues, because it was very, very worthwhile in my scientific career. I enrolled as a postdoctoral fellow at the National Institute of Drug Abuse. That's one of NIH's 22 institutions. There, we evaluated treatments for stimulant addiction. I can get into that if there's some questions about it later. I was there for about almost a year and a half, 2 years, and I was ready. At that time, I was a bench scientist. A bench scientist is someone that work at the bench, because I'm currently a scientist, but I'm no longer in the lab. So I was ready to get out of the lab. I had a small family at this time. And so I sent my resume to a friend at the Food and Drug Administration and in 2008, and I've been there ever since. I started as a bioequivalence assessor. I have some slides on that and to further explain what a bioequivalence assessor or bioassessor is. And while there, I have flourished. I've definitely sprouted where I've been planted. I worked on numerous working groups. I've established several office initiatives. I've been the vice chair of the Women of Color. I have taken numerous trainings. Now I am a subject matter expert for controlled correspondences. It's a short acronym called CC. CCs are inquiries that sponsors or firms or pharmaceutical companies send the agency. We refer to the FDA as the agency for short. It's questions that are sent to the agency when they are in pre-development for their drug products, or even after their product has been developed and they have some additional questions. So currently I'm a senior scientist. I've been there since 2008, and it's been a great ride. Next slide, please. So my biggest challenge, that was a great question. I was happy that I was asked this. One of my biggest challenges as a scientist, as you can see on the animation on the right, let me plug this artist because he's phenomenal. His name is Imanu. He's an animator and a prop maker and an illustrator based in Stockholm, Sweden. And he makes very conscious art. And when I saw this, it was incredible because it is a depiction of how much, we both have, when I say we, African-American women and males, particularly white males, we have the same set of stairs, we have the same path. But as you can see in that picture, our career achievements comes with a lot more distractions, if you will. And so one of mine was when I was about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So when I was asked this question, what is your biggest scientist? I was like, oh gosh, what is your biggest challenge? My biggest challenge is when I became a breast cancer candidate, and I was very unlikely. Out of all of the criteria, the only criteria I fit was that I was a woman. I wasn't a smoker. I wasn't overweight. I didn't have any familial history. I mean, I hadn't been exposed to any chemicals. So it was discovered in 2014. And as a scientist, your mind is constantly working. So I went to go get a mammogram, and I had all the questions there. And she was like, we don't see anything on the mammogram. It's coming back inconclusive. I was persistent. Here's a nod for me to encourage you all to always be an advocate for your health. I'm like, okay, let's get a sonogram. I had to fight for that because I was under 40 and the mammogram did not come back as conclusive. So I wrote the board granted it. And my sonologist, which is basically the person, if you've ever seen someone had who during pregnancy, when they check for the baby, that's called a sonogram. So I had a sonologist check for breast tissue check for a lump on my breast. Still came back conclusive. While there, I'm like, well, I want to speak to the person in the back who's looking at the images, and she was like, oh, you could get that information from your physician. I'm like, I know, but can you ask him? So when she came back, it was like, he said, sure, come on back. And I went in the back, and for some of you, you may not remember, but when I was matriculating in high school, we used to have a photograph room. It's very, very dark, and is where pictures were developed. So that's the room that he was in. And I went back there, and he showed me the differences between Caucasian women, or women that have that has tissue that's not dense, versus African American women or minorities that have very dense breasts. So, and then he showed me my own breast, and he said, "Well, we don't really see a lump there, but I have to," and I'm 95% sure it's not cancer, 95%. But with my insurance, we require 97%, and I'm not 97%. So we had to do a biopsy, and thank God that I was proposing to do that, because after the biopsy came, unfortunately, the lump was very, very large. It was at the base of my chest wall, hence why the mammogram and the sonogram was unable to pick this lump up, and I had to have a bilateral mastectomy. So it was a long journey, but the one of my biggest challenges as being a scientist, sometimes this got in the way of my career advancement, so to speak, with particular to becoming a supervisor, etc. However, I will say that because of my analytical mind, I encouraged them to take my health very seriously, and it actually changed my life, because I was diagnosed with stage 3A cancer, and it's only stage 4. But in 2015, I was back to work. You see that little music note, back to life, back to reality, and I've been flourishing there ever since. Next slide. So the data in life as a senior scientist bioequivalence reviewer, also termed bioassessor. This is one of my greatest and almost happiest moments to tell people what I do, particularly because I work in the Office of Generic Drugs. So the FDA has the food side and the drug side. And on the drug side, there is the new drug side, and there's the Office of Generic Drugs. So I am on the generic side of the FDA. And many times people always say, well, I always like the brand name drug, or I think brand names are better. And in many cases that may be true, maybe in sneakers and shirts, but that is not the case with generic drugs. In fact, generic medicines are required to be the same as the brand name medicine in dosage and safety and effectiveness and strength and stability and quality, and in the way it's taken. And furthermore, they have the same risks and benefits as the brand name. So if you get a bellyache with as bellyache is one of the side effects, or vomiting is one of the side effects for generic, it is also the side effects of in a generic drug, excuse me, in a brand name drug. So the two terms that deem a product the same or bioequivalent, and that's a scientific term, I'm just throwing it out there so you all can take that nugget back to you, is pharmaceutical equivalence and bioequivalence. And I've highlighted the words that are in most importance for you all to take back, and also because they're pretty much, they can be understood as being simple. So what is pharmaceutical equivalence? Pharmaceutical equivalence is when you have the same identical dosage form. So the generic drug is a syrup, the brand name drug is a syrup. The brand name drug is a tablet, the generic drug is a tablet. They are identical in their routes of administration. If a brand name product is administered topically, so is the generic brand. Is it a suppository? So is the generic brand. Same routes of administration. They have identical amounts. If the brand name is 250 milligrams, so would the generic brand. And they have the same active ingredient. The active ingredient is the substance that elicits the pharmaceutical effect. So if you're having a headache, the active ingredient is going to be that thing that takes away your headache. And I'll use Tylenol. This is simply for an example. I'm not promoting Tylenol at all. But Tylenol's active ingredient is acetaminophen. And you can, if any of you all have a bottle of Tylenol, just go and grab it. You'll see that the active ingredient is acetaminophen. That same acetaminophen is also in a generic brand product. So that makes that product pharmaceutically equivalent. Bioequivalence is the absence of significant difference. Take note that I'm not saying that it's the same. It's the absence of a significant difference in the rate and extent. So what does that mean? It means that when you take Tylenol, or when you take the Walmart brand or Target brand, or whichever Walgreens brand, whichever generic brand that you take, they are going to have an absence of significant difference in how fast they reach the site of action and how long they act. So One of my favorite drug products is Goodies. I don't know if you all know what they are. It is like a crushed tablet. I take that thing. It takes 5 seconds to work. Oh, I'm kind of exaggerating on the time, but it's very quick. So that's the time it takes to get to the site of action. Very quick. And then when I take that drug product, I don't have to take it again for another 4 hours. That's the duration. Those are identical between the brand name product and the generic drug product. So the fun fact is, even though they may differ in shape, they may differ in color, they may even differ in flavorings, they may differ in, sometimes you may see the inactive ingredient. All of those things may be different, but their pharmaceutical equivalents and their bioequivalents are the same. Next, and I'll take questions on that later. Next slide, please. So one of the questions I was asked was about, when I was preparing this, is about skill building. What skills do I have that I have built along the way in my career? And one of the things I think I put at the very top is to be self-aware, and which is not to be confused with being self-conscious. And just have an understanding of your emotions, your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, your motivation. And when you start to reflect pretty much on yourself and become self-aware of the things that you innately have, you inherently have, and those things that you need to improve upon, that is a skill that you can use in any relationship, at work, in your personal relationship, if you are a part of any organizations, in any of those things, you will become a better person. It's a skill to have, because some people have blind spots. Balance. Be mindful of who you are. Balance your life, your work, and your life responsibilities to achieve your professional goals and your personal pursuits. And you can do that by building and bridging boundaries. Building boundaries. I think people understand when they say building boundaries, but when I'm saying building boundaries, I mean build boundaries around your peace, your energy, your time. It's about saying no to distractions, no to toxic influences, and bridging boundaries a little different. I just recent transparency. I just learned this term bridging. I was like, how do you bridge a boundary? But when I read about it, it was brilliant. It's basically when you connect across differences. When you lead with empathy. This person may have, or this entity may have this boundary, you may have your boundary, but if you all have to work with each other, you need to learn how to bridge boundaries, and you can keep that in balance. And also cultivate. Enroll in professional development courses, certificate programs, read books, anything that can cultivate a skill in you that make you better. I think these are the top 3 skill building entities I think are most valuable. Oh, how did I get into STEM? This is a funny story. So I lost a bet with my mom, quite literally. So I was, again, as I started, I was not thinking about going to school. I wasn't encouraged to go to school. None of my friends were going to school. I had not thought about going to school. I went to Denby High School. There was one black guidance counselor, Ms. Woolfolk. She went to our church, very wonderful woman, and she told my mom about this program at Lincoln. And when my mom told me about it, I'm like, I'm not going to school. I'm going to become a CNA. And we went back and forth, and she was like, okay, you apply to the school, you apply to one school, you get into the school, you go. And the odds of me applying to one school that I hadn't even looked at, that I had no interest in going, was so low. I was like, okay, I'll do that. And I go. And I applied for the school. I got in. It was a laser program. It was based off of money. And as I know now, money is so important. Depending on your grades, you can get a full scholarship. And it changed the trajectory of my life. So I'd like to say that my mom was very instrumental in literally changing the trajectory of my life and my children's lives. So as I started on that first slide, I went and I matriculated through undergraduate, through graduate, postdoctoral, and now I'm a senior scientist. And that's only because mom knows best. So for all of you out there who ever have a mom or a mom-like figure, they really do know best. And next slide. Okay, so this slide is full of quotes, and I can somehow get them to you if this presentation is made available. But when I was asked, what can I say to you as at the end of this presentation, I said, okay, I think of some of the quotes that stood out to me most, and one of them is, if you want to lift up yourself, lift someone else up. This is from Booker T. Washington, one of my absolute favorite quotes. But also there were a few others that came to mind that I really like, and I told these to my children all the time. Either you stop quitting or you stop working. And for young people who are into hip hop, that's by Gucci Mane. Either you stop quitting or you stop working. One of my also favorites is Thinking is by a gentleman by the name of Adam Grant. If you want to be a psychologist, please look him up. He is phenomenal. And he wrote a quote about being a scientist that stayed to me too. It's about being actively open-minded. And I thought I understood what actively open-minded was. It's like, yeah, I can accept that. I can do this. But what he highlighted is it requires you to understand why you may be wrong or why I may be wrong, and not for reasons why I am right. Like that deeper thought on being a scientist. Also, understand, have faith in you can have faith or you can have fear, but you can't have both. That's by Joyce Meyer. um, she's an evangelist. Know that growth and comfort does not exist. So if you are comfortable, you are not growing. Growth and comfort does not exist. And mental fitness is very, very important. It's key. Make time for your physical and your mental health every single day, even if it's about 13 to 30 minutes or 45, 15 minutes. Reframe the way you move and think to make small changes that work in your favor. So if you're struggling with trying to balance something out, or if you're struggling with trying to get across something to someone, just make a minor change and you'll see. Just reframe the way you do things, and it may work out for you. And this is one of my all-time favorites. Again, I got this from my mom, and it's just when the caterpillar thought it was over, it turned into a butterfly. And I want you to understand that if you understand the entire metamorphosis of a caterpillar, it goes through a very restricted process. It's dark. It can't, it totally changes from a caterpillar. The entire being of this thing changes, and it turns into something that's beautiful, that actually can take flight. And I want you to keep that same mantra for yourself. So this is it's been great to present to you. I hope I didn't kind of speed through these. I was trying to get as much as I can to you all. There are some question and answering that we'll be able to have in the later on in the program. And so feel free to recall any of these slides that you asked me that I said something on, if you want to ask any further questions. I'd like to thank everyone here for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Williams Green. That was a powerful story which made a powerful presentation. We'll take a quick commercial break, and then my fellow ambassadors will ask you questions about your presentation.
I work at Lockheed Martin as a cybersecurity systems engineer, and I've been at Lockheed for 19 years. The role of cybersecurity engineering has a tremendous impact on the mission to deliver secure systems to our customers. I have 3 children. My kids are the center of my universe. I would not be able to continue working effectively as a working parent if it had not been for the flexibility in our work schedule and the flexibility of our leaders to help me exercise a flexible work schedule. One of the reasons why I've been at Lockheed Martin for 19 years is because I think the culture and the values that we demonstrate really reflect my own personal values. Performing with excellence, acting with integrity, those are steadfast values that we talk about day to day. I have seen great changes in the diversity within our company. 19 years ago, there weren't a whole lot of women in leadership, so the few that we had were highly coveted. Today, I'm proud to say that we see quite a few women in leadership roles. The advice that I would provide to young women and girls who are interested in STEM is go for it. You can do it. Don't let anyone stop you.
Welcome back. Joining me are Dr. Williams Green, Moira, and Dominic to begin the Q&A session.
I would just like to start with, that was a very beautiful presentation you gave. I felt very inspired by it. May I just ask, what is the best advice you could give to students at the high school and college level? How would you encourage them to stay in school, like if they're like struggling or facing challenges in their academic life?
That's a great question. Thank you for that. I would first say be intentional with your goals. And I mean every single goal. If you have a goal to get up in the morning, be intentional with that. So you can have time to um, do everything you need to do to prepare for school. If you have a goal to complete a project, complete that project. If you have a goal to become certified in certain things, be intentional with that goal. And be intentional means take the particular steps that it takes to fulfill that goal. And also challenge mediocrity. Don't be a master of good enough, because you'll look up and mediocrity would be your standard. Know that excellent should not be your goal, but excellence should be your habit. And I mean that literally. Be excellent in everything that you do and everything that you are, just to loop back. That way you'll be able to achieve those goals that you put in place. And keep in the back of your mind that your greatest gift is that you want to have an impact on humanity. It's not that you just want to fulfill things for yourself. It's you really want to have an impact on humanity. And when you start to realize the importance of who you are and what your unique abilities are, you will be able to kind of walk in that purpose to not only be the best of who you are, but be the best of what you can do for the planet and for humanity as a whole.
I love that advice right there. And I loved watching your presentation. I'm not sure if I was muted, but I said that it was a very powerful story that you have, which made a powerful presentation. One of the things that I liked the most was the quote that your mom gave you. You said that just before the caterpillar was something about the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. I forget how it was said, but that quote. And then I thought about your journey with cancer and how I was like, well, just when you said something like you were at stage 3 and there's only 4 stages, and I was like, well, just before she turned into a butterfly. Like, I thought about your story when that happened. Are there any other moments you had a caterpillar moments and then you actually started to bloom and became a butterfly in that journey?
Oh, that's a great question. And thank you for tying that together. Um, yes, I would say when I was a bench scientist at the National Institute on Drug Abuse, I was so exhausted. I had 2 young children by this time. And I was also treating real live animals. We were treating rats. And I was like, I'm just ready to give up. I can go work anywhere but being in the lab. I don't even want to pursue this anymore. And just as I was starting to not want to be in the lab or be a scientist anymore, because I knew I had already obtained my doctorate, not necessarily not wanting to be a scientist, but not wanting to pursue this. I talked to a friend and it was like, well, you could be a scientist and this is for all of you all who are out there listening, you could be a scientist that's not necessarily in the lab. You can be a scientist, and I'm an excellent writer. How have you considered the Food and Drug Administration? And I had not at the time. And I'm telling you, I have gone there and have certainly blossomed. So that's a great question. Thank you for that.
Sometimes it's just a little bit of a push, or sometimes it's like when we don't see it coming, things begin to change. But your unhappiness there kind of made a pathway for your happiness to where you are now. So I think like it's crucial that every part of the story is honestly for us. That's something I've been learning in my own life too. So I'm so happy your friend told you that. Dominic, is there any question that you have?
Yeah, I had a question. It was a little bit kind of more personal. First, thank you for like sharing your story. Hope to touched on it a little bit, but I know you had mentioned that you had been diagnosed with breast cancer. Both of like my grandparents, went through that process as well. They're no longer like here with us, but I know that like life can get, very challenging at times, and obstacles can get like thrown your way. I wanted to ask kind of throughout that process, what kind of kept you motivated and helps you push through to get back into STEM and get back to where you were originally at, because I've seen what that specific thing can like do to people, especially like mentally.
So thank you for your question, Dominique, and I'm sorry for your loss. And did you say both of your parents, both of your grandparents?
Yeah, grandmothers, one on my father's side and the one on my mother's side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to take this opportunity to say that there is a small percentage, but percentage nonetheless, that males also can get breast cancer. So please be very diligent and making sure that you get yourself checked. When you go to the hospital, they ask you about your familial history. Please mention that, and also know that you could be a carrier. So if you were to have children, it's important that they know that. So I want to say that. And
Mhm.
um, you asked. I'm sorry. What was your? I wanted to get that part out. What was your particular question?
It was like my particular question was pretty much like through that challenge and different things of that nature, like what kept you like motivated to keep pushing through and then eventually get back into like your career, your role.
I got you. A great question. What kept me motivated is my family, all of my family. I have my husband and my two children. My two children were young at the time. They were incredible. And then I had my sisters, my aunts, my mom, my family come, and they came and helped me here at my home. My coworkers at work, they had donated. I work for the federal government. You can actually get leave donated to you. My coworkers had donated enough time for me to be able to heal at home, and we were also occasionally having meetings where they would have meetings for me, and just to keep me posted and keep me very much connected. So I was very much motivated to be healed. I had joined in the beginning. I was not a fan of joining cancer groups. I was like, oh, these are groups are not going to be for me. And they turned out to be exactly for me. They were phenomenal. I joined some groups, and just interacting with women, particularly because I was young at the time. Interacting with older women that had children and grandchildren, and that had a purpose for living, they kind of encouraged me as well. So it was a multifaceted approach, or a lot of support from all angles, and it really got me back going.
Hmm.
Got
That's
it. Thank you.
beautiful. Community and support that definitely helps you through difficult times. Um, Back to your career. Um, what would you say? Well, first of all, I would like. First of all, um, you studied pharmacology at Florida A&M. So, what would you say about your journey? What would you say to encourage a young person in your field, in like who's at FAMU or wherever? Um, what would you say to encourage them?
So I would say to all young people, but particularly scientists, because I'm a scientist, whatever your interests are, lean into your curiosity.
Mm.
So for scientists, a lot of us don't see ourselves or don't know that we are already scientists, and we really are. I give this example all the time. If you like Kool-Aid or you've made Kool-Aid, you're a scientist. You have a substance, that's sugar and Kool-Aid. You have a solvent, water. You put it together and make a solution. So you are already a scientist. What you can also do is lean into the whatever your interests are. So if you like swimming, then swim your little stuff out to the ocean and collect samples and help us understand what's harming our marine life. Or if you like food, like I really love food, please come up with a delicious way to make healthy, affordable foods. So I would tell young people, to try, lean into those curiosities, because there is a field of science that we desperately need you to go into, and it would complement those things that you already enjoy. I would also tell young people to surround yourself with mentors who inspire you, but make sure those mentors also challenge you, and learn to trust your instincts, your that gut, and everything that you've been taught. And again, stay balanced, prioritize your learning, and always keep an open heart and an open mind.
I have another question as well. Has being a mother taught you anything about, this is a weird question, but has being a mother taught you anything about being a scientist, or like helped you in any way about when it comes to being a scientist?
So I'm going to first start by saying that it's not a weird question.
Oh, okay.
Uh, and yes, it has, almost to a fault though, because as a scientist, you think very methodically, and so everything is kind of planned, from how you want to store your milk to what they're going to eat to what they're going to get there, get out for clothes. And as in real life, theory and reality are very different. So it has kept me and taught me how to be very organized, but from a scientist perspective. But being a mother has also taught me to be more relaxed and understand that it's okay to have to pivot, and learn how to pivot on the fly so that it is best for everyone, and not to be so rigid. Sometimes science can be rigid, but sometimes it's not. And so it has taught me to be I think it's taught me to be an incredible mother, because I understand all the different dynamics that go into a situation. Great
Wow,
question.
I love how how it correlated like that. I would never have thought, and like I never would have thought that. That's really cool, to be honest. Dominic, do you have another question to ask the
Yeah, I had another question. I wanted to touch on kind of like development as you being a woman in STEM. What's like one piece of advice you'd give to other young women trying to like break into the industry, especially when it comes to like finding their voice or navigating the spaces? I know with women, I think they make up 25% of the tech workforce, and African American women, it's like 3%. So like, what would you say is that one piece of advice you would give to a young woman that's trying to get into STEM?
Try to make connections, because many times when we build and connect with other women, particularly other women, or other women that, not only just women that look like us, but women that look like us, but women who share our aspirations and who have been through what we're trying to achieve. If you think back and you go back to that picture that by Inansu, we have a lot of landmines that's ahead of us. And if you spoke with someone else who have been through what you are going through, they can kind of help you navigate those distractions, those unforeseeables, and actually it can make you feel really very comfortable and confident, because your confidence will be tested, your skills will be tested, your intellect will be challenged at every step of the way. And if you can connect with someone, and especially particularly someone who's been through what you went through, or and then some, not only someone who's been through what you want to go through on a skill wise, but older women, because they have the wisdom. So if you can find someone that you can connect with, that'd be great.
Speaking of networking, may I ask, did you attend the BEYA STEM conference in
I
February?
did, and it
Oh,
was phenomenal. Seeing other minorities at the highest level of rank and status was just encouraging. It was encouraging. It was inspiring, and it actually highlighted the importance of what I need to be as a model for others. Every time and in every situation, I'm looking at other people and how I can do and be because of what people are in my life. So it was incredible.
It's
that's
truly
bittersweet.
inspiring. Oh,
No,
it's
go ahead,
truly
Maria.
Oh, okay. It's truly inspiring going there every year and seeing everyone. They're like so amazing. Like everyone is like top of the game. And
Hmm.
every time I go, I'm like, I need to get better. I need to improve my life. I need to do this, that, and the third to get where all these other people are. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It's
Yes.
so bittersweet because I really wish I could have met you in person. I didn't know we were in the same place, and then like a couple months later, we'd be meeting each other online. I wish I could have met you in person. I would have so many. I would have so many good conversations. I could tell.
Well, this just means we need to make sure we see each other at the next BEYA conference.
Yes.
Yes.
Or do you have you ever went to the Women of Color conference?
Thank you for asking me that. I was actually this is a funny question. This is actually a great question. I was nominated and selected as the Women of Color Professional Achievement Award recipient in
Oh
October
wow.
of last year. So I
Oh
certainly have been there. And it was another fantastic conference.
oh my goodness. What? I didn't
Yeah.
even I was there last year, but I did not even recognize.
Oh, yes.
That's so amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it'll be in Baltimore this year.
Oh, okay, great. I'm gonna definitely be there, and I hope to see you there as well. And are you gonna give
Likewise.
a speech when you pass the baton?
I more than likely I will. I have to work on that speech.
Okay, I cannot wait to hear you on the stage. And for my final question is, you've been getting recognized. So what does being recognized kind of do to your mental? Like, what does being awarded do for you?
So it is, not only does it encourage me personally and professionally, but it keeps me in a space of wanting to do more and trying to figure out where I can give more. Martin Luther King, I don't know why I didn't have this speech on it because it just came to my mind. One of his greatest quotes is, "Anybody can lead because anybody can serve." Right. So it really puts me in a space of where else can I serve? Where else is there a need? Where I can serve. So that's
I
it.
I love your mindset, and one thing I like about your mindset is I think about probably about two times today. I think I was the person to word something the wrong way before we got on camera when I was like, "Oh, I can't. I kill all my plants." And you're like, "Can I rephrase your sentence?" And then I said something. I have a weird question. You said, "Well, no question's weird." So I can tell that you're like a mentor that really will, like you said, push the mentees around you. And I think that I love the way that you're phrasing in your mindset. I've learned a lot from your mindset today, and I've grown just from talking to you today. So personally, and just watching you professionally as well. So you do have a gift of leading, in my opinion. So I'm so happy I was able to witness that and be a part of that growth that you were able to kind of give to me a little bit today. So thank you so much for your presentation.
You're
This
very
concludes.
easy to talk to. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
very, very, very.
Thank
This
you.
concludes our question today. Many thanks to Dr. Williams Green for sharing her insights and talents with us today. Dr. Williams Green, are there any parting words that you'd like to leave with us?
So, yes, there is. For many of you, you will become mothers, fathers, mentors, coaches, and please remember this: that you probably be the first person that a child loves or sees. So, please make sure you lead with love and lead with purpose. Show up, be an example of, allow them to see an example of who you are, because what they see in you is what they will see in themselves and what they will see in the world. So be a living example of a woman or a man that is patient, that is loving, that is persistent, and grounded in principles.
Mm. It's kind of like we're all mirrors for each other, or vice
Absolutely.
versa. So that was amazing. I'm definitely going to carry that with me. I love that. I love that piece of advice right there. Those that might have been one of my favorite closing remarks I've ever heard
Oh,
on Career Day. Please stay tuned for commercials in our next segment, STEM Spotlight. Thank you, everyone.
Calling all future STEM pioneers, leaders, and career champions. Join us on every second Saturday of the month for the BEYA Career Day. BEYA STEM Career Day is all about creating opportunities for students to venture into the world of STEM through the eyes of professionals. You'll meet mentors and presenters that will give you a sneak peek into the many options available to you in the field of STEM. Hosted by teen ambassadors, you'll find yourself among inspiring peers just like yourself that are aiming high for their future. To take part in the BEYA STEM Career Day on Zoom, visit fullstemahead.us and register for the next session. Again, that's fullstemahead.us. BEYA, becoming everything you are.
A world of careers unleashed. You can get it at BEYA. Become everything you are.
Welcome back. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Moria. And today we're going to tell you about this month's inventor, Dr. Wu Chang-sheng.
She was known as the First Lady of Physics and the Queen of Nuclear Research. Dr. Wu was born in China in 1912. Her mother was a teacher and her father was an engineer, and they both together founded the Mingde School for Girls, where Dr. Wu would go on to receive her education.
Dr. Wu was an excellent student, and she worked incredibly hard to earn a spot in the University of Michigan in 1936, where she majored in physics. She transferred to the University of California, Berkeley, after seeing that women were not allowed through the front door entrance at the University of Michigan.
She was impressive in all ways at Berkeley, earning the respect of her peers and professors and becoming an expert in beta decay, which is the process that radioactive material goes through as it breaks down. It was with this work that led to her being a part of the team that created the atomic bomb, also called the Manhattan Project.
Dr. Wu had mixed feelings about her work on the atomic bomb, ultimately saying, "I have confidence in humankind. I believe we will one day live together peacefully." She was an advocate for STEM education and a legendary figure in physics, despite encountering discrimination from her ethnicity and gender in much of her adult life.
Dr. Wu went through a tumultuous time in world history, and she advocated for civil rights for the entirety of her life. In the face of adversity, she conducted herself with dignity, poise, and confidence, and she earned the respect of her peers. Her story is inspirational to millions of young women entering the STEM field, and a monument to her is placed in her hometown in front of Mingday School her parents founded. We hope you enjoyed learning about today's featured inventor, Dr. Wu, and her highly successful path to STEM. She spent much of her life balancing her love for her home in China with her desire to accomplish greatness in physics. While you'll watch this next commercial, think of someone you think would be a great candidate for a STEM spotlight and share their name with us in the chat.
What if you could build your own city? A place where every child can find nurturing people to help them achieve their full potential. A place where every adult can access job training support, where health education is abundant, where social justice ruled the land. A place without limitations. Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City, USA. It is what every city should be. A safe and trusted community where you find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond. STEM City is unlike anything you have ever experienced. It is a digital twin of the world around you, only better. STEM City is about energy and soul renewal. It is more than a digital world. You can almost feel the power of live cultural events, music, and theater. STEM City promises a better future for children, with caring mentors and hands-on activities, with dedicated tutors to support our youth. STEM City is your passport to a healthy lifestyle, with weekly events addressing our community's many issues. STEM City is your financial well-being, with helpful information on wealth management, career advancement, job training, and so much more. STEM City is the community you deserve. It is the city where your dreams can come true. STEM City USA, a place in the sky that is accessible to all who reach for the stars.
That was STEM City USA, our 2D metaverse. Today we talked about balance, how we use our time effectively to make sure all the areas of our lives get the attention and value they need. If you want to maximize your time and get the best educational value, learn more about Colin AI, the AI-powered library in STEM City USA. You can interact with our archives and ask questions to locate primary sources from decades of different media. Don't forget to visit stemcityusa.com and enter the Education and Discovery building. Then enter the library to sign up for your digital library card. Next, I'll call back up our ambassador, Maria, to close us out.
Thank you to all who joined us for Career Day. We appreciate your insights in the chat and your opinions and questions. We hope that the planning and foresight put into this episode was evident and showed how important STEM can be in your own life. Thank you to our Career Day speaker, Dr. Zakia Greene, for joining us today and sharing her experiences. Please remember to visit stemcityusa.com for more BEYA STEM Career Day segments. We would like to give a very special thanks to our BEYA STEM Career Day sponsor, Lockheed Martin. They are known for their groundbreaking work in aerospace, arms, defense, information security, and technology around the world. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us for the next Career Day on May 10th, 2025, where we'll feature even more STEM professionals, college students, and high school standouts. I'm ready to explore new STEM careers with you. We'll see you next time. This is Moria Bowman signing off.
From every corner, from
every day at Lockheed Martin, we are creating the future. When did I decide to become an engineer? Where I grew up in my village, we had a lot of interaction with nature. So I was always fascinated by the flight of the hummingbird. Seeing this marvelous aerodynamics of the hummingbird gave me this general idea that I wanted to be working on the ability to control things that flew. I've had this long running curiosity, I still do today, of asking the question, why is this the way it is? Are there ways to improve what it does? And in fact, those are the same questions we ask every day at Lockheed Martin. That's why my colleagues come to work saying, this is great, we've done all these great things, we've built all these great systems, how could we make it better? And how could we make it better together? Lockheed Martin's engineers and scientists are at the forefront of innovation. Everything from AI and machine learning to hypersonics to directed energy. Individually, all these are really critical capabilities that we need to develop. To actually deliver something ahead of ready to our customers, it takes pulling these pieces together into an overall mission capability. What we are doing here matters to our nation, to our nation's security.